Welcome to High Tea with Grace, where we spill the tea on HIT. I'm very excited to be here at ASCO, the nation's largest oncology conference, to speak with the industry's greatest leaders about what's happening in the oncology space. I'm here today with Dr. Matthew Oberley, SVP and Chief Clinical Officer of Caris Life Sciences. Thanks for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So I know you guys are doing a lot of posters and presentations here at ASCO, but what one is getting you most excited about what's happening in the oncology space?
Well, we're very excited to be here again this year. ASCO is always a wonderful time of year to come and basically get together with our colleagues to discuss research in science and medicine. And this year, working with our collaborators in the Precision Oncology Alliance at Caris, we've submitted and had accepted over 30 abstracts and studies at Caris. So it's not always easy to single out one study among all of these really interesting studies. But one that I'm particularly excited about, given my background as a pathologist, is a study led by our Chief Medical Officer, George Sledge, around digital pathology and utilization of digital pathology H&E images to predict risk of recurrence in early stage breast cancer.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So this is a study that's going to be presented on Monday. And what we've done is we've essentially gotten all of the samples, the residual samples from several pivotal clinical trials that were used to validate really important molecular tests for early stage breast cancer, like Oncotype DX or the Breast Cancer Index study molecular tests. And so we've gotten these remnant samples and we've cut H&E slides from all of them. And we've created, digital images and trained algorithms that can do the job of the molecular test, essentially. So we're going to present some of our findings from the B42 clinical trial remnant samples around our ability to predict risk of recurrence in early stage breast cancer. So that's one I'm particularly excited about.
And bringing it back to the patient, how will this, and the end game help the patient and their caregiver? Mm-hmm.
Well, so this particular indication is for early stage breast cancer where there's an increased risk of distant recurrence over time. And there are options for patients with breast cancer to try to reduce that risk, specifically for taking endocrine therapy long term. Now, there's side effects associated with that, and not everyone can tolerate long-term endocrine therapy. So this provides an opportunity to look at the tumor and identify patients that may be able to forego this long-term endocrine therapy. And so potentially a benefit to patients over time in terms of de-escalating therapy.
That is so inspiring. Now, in the halls of ASCO, what trends really are exciting you about this space and what's going on?
Well, I mean, I would kind of bucket things into three broad areas. One is the increased, prevalence of molecular testing as a requirement for running clinical studies, and the prevalence of clinical studies incorporating MRD as a major molecular test. It's been increasingly adopted to a wider variety of cancers and presages the recurrence of cancers well before you can identify those recurrences with imaging-based testing. So the increased adoption of molecular testing, with all the clinical studies that we see, is one recurring theme. Another major recurring theme that is pretty exciting to me is really the close relationship that's developing between oncologists and pathologists around digital pathology. And so I see a lot of buy-in from our oncology colleagues around using digital pathology to train novel predictive algorithms. And the opportunity there is that these algorithms would be much less expensive than a molecular test. And so anything that you developed in the digital pathology space could potentially be used all over the world, even outside of the United States in resource, poor areas. And so expand the reach of precision oncology beyond just the resource-rich places like the United States, Europe, and Japan.
Truly inspiring. Thanks for joining me today. It was great to have you on Herb in the Halls.